Ah, damn it. How do I get the link again? Hold on. Oh, it's not good. Yeah, sorry for starting this late. We'll probably start in like 2 minutes. I didn't disable it. Darn it. Let me. All right, I guess I'll get started then. Hello guys, welcome to another VGDC writing workshop. It's the fourth one this full quarter. And today we're going to be talking about the screenplay format of for something like a movie. All right, so here we got the basic anatomy of a film screenplay. It's got a lot of the basic elements. So you can see here in bold and in caps. These are scene headings. They're pretty self-explanatory. Actually, all of this is kind of self-explanatory, but the scene heading is there to tell you what the scene is, or like at one point the scene is. So like here, the internal trailer home, and then the action here, like flanking these like dialogue points, you know, they're there to help people contextualize the scene and they tell you like what is happening. So you can see here on the top, right, it tells us what this home belongs to, and who it belongs to. I don't know if I'm repeating stuff. So you can tell from here, right, that this house belongs to like these two characters, Jack and Dan, and they're not quite good guys from like the set pieces here. Money, drugs, and ridiculous props strewn about the tables, stuff like that. And then for here, you got the character name. We got parentheticals, just in case there's anything else that needs to be specified. And then we got the actual dialogue itself. So you can see here, this is pretty easy. You could probably open up a screenplay. You can kind of figure out which pieces are what, right? And then you got the transitions, cut to. So there's actually a very specific way these screenplays have to be formatted. They have to be 12-point fonts, and they have to be in Courier New, and they have to be formatted, and it has to be constructed just like this. I don't actually know how you would achieve this, but there's a specific way, and it needs to be formatted like this, or else they're not going to read it. Another bonus tip that the former officers who helped construct this slide gave was you need to use 2 fasteners, and exactly 2. You can't use 3. Using 2 fasteners for these scripts will save money, and apparently it'll also help people think that you've actually done this before, even if you have not done it. Sometimes you have to be specific, but not too specific. You don't want to go into too much detail in a screenplay because that is going to be interpreted by the directors. You're going to want to leave finer details to them, but you want to make stuff like pauses pretty explicit. So like you see on the slide, use beat and pause as necessary and the screenplay, and specify when someone is off screen. So there's a specific tag for being off screen. As you can see here in the screenplay, it's noted by the initials OC. So use that to show that someone's talking off camera, right? And caps lock, and in the screenplay, caps lock has this very special meaning. So like I showed earlier, it's like you use those for screen headers, but also to highlight very important sounds. So in the top one, crash and sound of breaking glass is capitalized. You're going to need that. And you capitalize the first time a character is introduced, like in the bottom example, Richard Jones. As recommended by previous officers, there are several programs to help you write a screenplay. There's a Google Docs extension, which apparently is kind of hard to figure out, but it is one of the only like truly free options out of this list. There's Writer Duet, there's Scrivener. It works as a regular word processor too. I think someone in the last workshop said they had experience with Scrivener. I don't know if they're here right now, but apparently there's a free trial or discount on Scrivener during the National Novel Writing Month season, which is about next month. I don't actually know if that's true though. You're gonna have to look that up because I tried looking it up and I really couldn't verify. There's Celtics, Fade-In, and Final Draft. Of course, you have to do your research on all of these because these are all paid writing programs and they can get pretty expensive. So you're going to need to look into how they do things first. And you're going to have to really quiz yourself on if you're going to actually like use this consistently. So why did I talk about film screenplays? Like the overview was pretty basic, right? But why did I go over them in the first place? Because it seems very specific to movies, right? So why would I talk about something that happened that's for movies rather than like games like we're making here? And the reason why is because of the nature of filmmaking. There's a lot of people in film, and there's a lot of people who need to read your screenplay, but they're probably never going to talk to you. So it needs to be very easy to read, and it has to be in a specific format so people don't have to like suddenly change the way they're reading your screenplay. It just makes it really easy for people in the film industry to look into it. And so the reason why we look into film screenplays is it can help you kind of figure out how to format your own game scripts that you're going to write for the games you're going to be making in this club. As for the actual screenplay format we showed, you're probably not going to use it unless you're writing a cutscene, because a lot of stuff that goes into tips for screenplay formatting is very specific for movies, and you're probably not going to be able to use it in the scripts that you're going to be writing here. So just to reiterate, for film, you have very little collaboration with other departments. It is bad form to describe a lot of things because you need to let the actors and director interpret stuff, and also you don't want to bog down the script with like way too many details. And it's strict on formatting. For the games we're going to be making in our club, you will have to communicate with your team members a lot. I can tell you from experience that if your team does not talk a lot, the whole thing is just going to fall apart. So you're going to need to talk to people in your team no matter what. Like maybe in meetings or more unofficial ones where you have to talk with a specific person in order to get across things. You're going to have to talk a lot with the other departments and your team, which is a very stark contrast to how they do it in films. If you're using people like art strikers, they generally are not part of the team, and they probably don't know what's going on within your game. So you have to talk to them. You have to be very specific with what you need or like the vibe that you want. And because everyone on your team is going to be different, they're probably not gonna read the same way as like not read, but like read things differently. You're gonna have to discuss how you format your script with whoever is gonna read it. So like if someone's gonna transcribe your script into the game, you have to talk with them to make sure they can actually read it. I have examples of my screenplays here from two different games. One of them was for a game I made for this club called Acid Trip 2. The one on the right is one I made for a class. Both of them are visual novels. One of them is a dating sim, And you can, it's very different from how a film screenplay is formatted, but it has the same elements. You got the character names, which I put next to hashtags in order to make it stand out a lot more. You got the scene header. So for this one, you got day 0. And for this one, you have beginning part 2 that has like all the assets that the scene needs to help situate at what point in time in the game this scene is going to happen in. And if your game has choices that affect endings, you're going to want to help differentiate branches too. Although you may need to, if you're writing with multiple endings, you might need to make more scripts. So for example, the dating sim, I had to make 3 separate scripts in order to detail not only what goes on in the main game, but also the writing and then some of the responses that for some of the options you can pull in the game. So to reiterate what I just said, your script is gonna be different from my script. It's probably gonna be different from a lot of people's scripts and for like writing, and that's totally okay. Totally okay, because in the end, your script needs to work for the kind of game that your team is going to make. You have to write and format them. So for the script, you have to write and format them as needed for you and your team's needs. You have to make sure whoever's reading it can actually work with it. If you format it in a way where the person who needs to read it is trying to go through it and they can't tell what, and they can't like get the info they need out of it, that's going to be a very big problem. You have to communicate as necessary. And also keep in mind what your script is calling for. If your script is way too big and needs a lot of elements, that can be really shitty for your team, because now they gotta make all of this. So keep in mind scope as you're going along and making these scenes. I did have a little bit of activity, but we're going to be doing it a bit differently than we did last time. So the activity here is just write a scene. You try and come up with like a format that's kind of inspired by like the film screenplay, and try just writing a small scene. It doesn't have to be a really big one with super dramatic tension. Just like write a small scene that it can like do in a short time. Now, I'm not gonna actually make you share these right now because I don't think there's a really good way to do that with the way this works. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna open up a thread in the writing channel, and if you do this prompt and you want to share it, you can go ahead and you can share it in the thread so that other people can like read through it, maybe give some feedback on it. There's some, you don't technically need to follow the prompts, but I gave some just in case you might want to do one, but you don't know where to go from there, where to like start, right? I'm not gonna read them out loud because I'm probably gonna share this whole screen after the workshop. So yeah, that'll be the activity for today, and that'll be it. I don't know if you guys expected a longer workshop, but I figured it was better than trying to make the workshop as long as possible just to fit the schedule. Oh, you have a question? Oh yeah. Does anyone have any questions about this stuff? Or was it like pretty clear? All right. Well, that's gonna be it for this week's meeting then. Hopefully, look forward to next week's workshop, although it might have been hard to do that considering how well this one went. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys later. Goodbye. Hold on.